Have you ever wondered what happens when mortals dare to challenge the gods? Throughout history, some of the most powerful kings, draped in gold and worshipped by their people, grew so arrogant they believed they could defy the heavens themselves. Their stories are not just tales of ambition, but chilling warnings of pride, punishment, and eternal curses. Today, we journey back in time to uncover the fates of the cursed kings of antiquity who challenged the very gods they were meant to serve. Our first king is Sisyphus, the clever and deceitful ruler of Corinth. Sisyphus was known for his cunning, a trait that often got him into trouble. His greatest act of defiance was against Zeus himself. When the river god Oedipus came searching for his missing daughter Aegina, who had been abducted by Zeus, Sisyphus saw an opportunity. He offered to reveal the kidnapper's identity in exchange for a permanent spring for his citadel. Oedipus agreed, and Sisyphus exposed Zeus. Enraged by this betrayal, Zeus sent Thanatos, the personification of death, to chain Sisyphus in the underworld. But Sisyphus was too clever. He feigned curiosity about the chains and tricked Thanatos into demonstrating how they worked, promptly trapping Death himself. With Death imprisoned, no one on earth could die. The world fell into chaos. Ares, the god of war, was furious because his battles lost their deadly thrill. Oedipus freed Thanatos and finally handed Sisyphus over. But Sisyphus had one more trick up his sleeve. Before Deat, he instructed his wife not to perform the proper burial rites. In the underworld, he complained to Persephone, queen of the dead, that he was being disrespected and needed to return to the mortal world to arrange his own funeral. Persephone, taking pity on him, agreed. Once back on Earth, Sisyphus refused to return. Living to a ripe old age, when he finally died for good, the gods had devised a special punishment for him. For his hubris and repeated deceit, Sisyphus was cursed to eternally push a massive boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down each time he neared the top. A futile, endless labor for a king who thought he could outsmart the gods. Next, we travel to Phrygia, to the court of King Midas. Most of us know the story of his golden touch, but that was just one chapter in his troubled relationship with the gods. It all began when he did a favor for Dionysus, the god of wine and revelry. As a reward, Dionysus granted him one wish. Blinded by greed, Midas wished that everything he touched would turn to gold. At first, it was magnificent. Roses, stones, furniture all turned to shimmering gold. But his joy quickly turned to horror when he tried to eat and drink. His food turned to metal, his wine to liquid gold. His beloved daughter ran to hug him and was transformed into a lifeless golden statue. Starving and heartbroken, Midas begged Dionysus to take back the gift. The god instructed him to wash in the river Pactolus, which has been said to carry gold in its sands ever since. You would think Midas learned his lesson about defying the natural order, but his arrogance remained. Later, a musical contest was held between Apollo, the god of music, and the satyr Pan. While everyone else hailed Apollo's divine lyre playing, Midas, for some reason, declared Pan the winner. Apollo was incensed. To punish Midas for his foolish and uncultured judgment, the god proclaimed that Midas must have the ears of an animal that couldn't appreciate fine music. Instantly, Midas grew a pair of donkey ears. Ashamed, he hid them under a large turban, with only his barber knowing the secret. The barber was sworn to secrecy, but the burden of keeping such a bizarre secret was too much. He dug a hole in the ground, whispered King Midas has donkey ears into it, and filled it back up. But from that very spot, a patch of reeds grew, and whenever the wind blew through them, they whispered the secret for all to hear. King Midas has donkey ears. His shame became public. Another punishment for a king who failed to respect the gods. Our third story takes us to Thebes and to a queen, not a king, whose pride led to unspeakable tragedy. Queen Niobe was a mother of 14 children, 7 strong sons, and 7 beautiful daughters. She was immensely proud of her children, so proud that she began to boast. She declared herself superior to the goddess Leto, who had only 2 children, the twins Apollo and Artemis. Niobe publicly mocked the goddess, questioning why people would worship a mother of 2 when she, Niobe, was far more fertile and blessed. This act of hubris reached the ears of Leto on Mount Olympus. Furious, she sent her divine children to exact revenge. Apollo, the archer god, descended and, one by one, shot down all 7 of Niobe's sons with his merciless arrows as they practiced athletics. News of their deaths reached the palace, and Niobe, along with her daughters, rushed out to mourn them. But the punishment wasn't over, as Niobe-wept Artemis appeared with her own bow and arrows and struck down all 7 of her daughters. Niobe was left childless, her pride shattered in a single afternoon. Overwhelmed with grief, she fled to Mount Sisyphus, where she turned to stone. It is said that even as a rock, she continues to weep, with a stream of tears trickling down the stone face, a permanent monument to the devastating cost of mocking the gods. Finally, we consider the tragic figure of Oedipus, the king of Thebes. His story is not one of direct defiance, but of a man cursed by fate, a plaything of a divine prophecy he could not escape. It was foretold before his birth that he would kill his father and marry his mother. To avoid this terrible fate, his parents, the king and queen of Thebes, ordered him to be abandoned on a mountainside. But he was found by a shepherd and raised by the king and queen of Corinth as their own son. When Oedipus learned of the prophecy as a young man, he fled Corinth, believing he was escaping his destiny. On the road to Thebes, he got into a dispute with an older man in a chariot and, in a fit of rage, killed him. He didn't know it, but this man was Laius, his biological father and the king of Thebes. Upon arriving at Thebes, he found the city plagued by the Sphinx. He famously solved her riddle, freeing the city, and was hailed as a hero. As a reward, he was made king and married the widowed queen, Jocasta, his own mother. 4 years they ruled together, and he was a good king. But a plague fell upon Thebes, and the oracle of Delphi declared that it would not end until the murderer of King Laius was found and exiled. Oedipus, dedicated to his city, launched a determined investigation. Through a series of horrifying revelations, he discovered the truth. The man he killed on the road was his father, and the woman he married was his mother. The prophecy had come true, despite all efforts to prevent it. Upon realizing this, Jocasta took her own life. In despair, Oedipus took the brooches from her dress and blinded himself, declaring he was not worthy to see the light of day. He was then exiled from Thebes, a cursed king who, in trying to outrun his fate, ran directly into its arms. From Sisyphus's endless labor to Midas's shameful secret, Niobe's eternal sorrow, and Oedipus's tragic downfall, these tales from antiquity serve as powerful allegories. They explore the dangerous nature of hubris, the inescapability of fate, and the terrifying power of the gods. They remind us that no matter how powerful a mortal may seem, there are forces in the universe far greater than any king or queen. Their cursed legacies echo through millennia, a timeless warning against challenging the divine. Thank you for joining us on this journey into myth and legend. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more tales from the ancient world. See you next time.